Hello and welcome to this episode of the Mixtape podcast. This is where we take a deep dive into the inspirations and influences of my guest as I ask them to select 6 tracks for their imaginary mixtape. Track 1 is an attention grabber. Track 2 is a song they sing in the car or the shower. Track 3 is a cover version. For track 4, I'll ask them to pick a song they wish they could have played to their 18-year-old selves. Track 5 is a song they would use to woo someone. Track 6 is a track that my guest feels doesn't get the attention or recognition that it deserves. Track 6 is for Patreons only, so if you'd like to support the creation of this podcast, it's patreon.com/mixtape podcast, or you can check out the link in the description below. You can join for free or subscribe for as little as $2 a month. There's lots of other Patreon-only content on there, including the opportunity to ask guests a question and to have a personalised mixtape playlist curated by yours truly. There's lots of other ways you can support me, a like or a follow on social media. Again, there's links in the description for that. Or if you are listening on Spotify, you can smash the follow icon or you can rate the podcast. All of these little things go a long way towards growing the platform, and I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome to this mixtape for KCR 102.5 FM and the mixtapepodcast.com. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Jim Reid from the Jesus and Mary chain. How are you, Jim?
Hi, good, thanks. Good.
Thanks for making the time. I know you're super busy with rehearsals and stuff at the moment.
Yeah, quite busy at the moment, but got time.
So we're really looking forward to seeing you in Australia next month in August. You're hitting the usual cities: Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, saving, of course, the best for last. You're playing the Astor Theatre in Perth. I think it's the 8th of August. I was looking earlier on. Tickets are all but sold out for that one. I think if you're looking, it's Ticket Tech for the Perth shows. If you're looking for the other shows, I believe the marychain.com is the best place, because I don't know why, Jim, lately, but tours have started. They use different ticketing companies for different shows in different cities. So your website's probably the best place if people want to get tickets, to marychain.com for tickets for that one. Touring in support of the new album, Jim, Glasgow Eyes. Tell us a little bit about the album. And I Googled the title. It was quite interesting, actually, what I found. But where did you come up with the title for the album?
It kind of came about by accident, to be honest. We found ourselves back in Glasgow almost 40 years after the band began in Glasgow. And we thought, well, let's make the album title some even if it's obscure, but some mention of Glasgow. And then William was doing he does this digital artwork, and he decided he was going to do the album cover. So he brought some stuff into the studio, and it was all things like someone's face with the eyes all scored out and things like that. One of which ended up as the actual cover, but there were more messed ones than that. And I just looked at the pictures and I said, "That's Glasgow Eyes." What did it mean? I don't know. Why did I say it? No idea. Yeah. But we both looked at each other and thought, album title. So that was it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was like, like a look you give someone in the pub or whatever in Glasgow, like a Glasgow kiss. Do you know what I mean? If it's just like a filthy look.
Nah, yeah. Well, you know what? Like I should make up a more interesting story, but that's the truth of what I just said just now.
When I Googled it, what came up on Google when I Googled Glasgow Eyes, apart from obviously the album, was, what's it called? The Glasgow Coma Scale or something it's called. And it's a measure of levels of consciousness when you're in a coma. And obviously eye movement is one of the things that they look at. So I wondered if it was some sort of deep reference to levels of consciousness, and that's what you were after, but apparently not. No.
Well, do you know what? It is from now on. Now you've told me that. That's what I'm going to say it means.
You can have that in your next interview, mate. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you about the new album was the track JAMCOD. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that stands for Jesus and Mary Chain Overdose. Would that be a correct assumption?
That would be absolutely true. It's not referring to the Jesus and Mary Chain overdosing on drugs. It's referring to the Jesus and Mary Chain overdosing on themselves. Okay. we kind of rather, famously broke up on stage at a gig in Los Angeles in 1998 at a place called the House of Blues. And it's about that night. The band imploded. We just we had enough of ourselves and each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the band just like disintegrated, and we overdosed on the band, and the band was no more for 9 years.
Did you write that with William, and did you find it kind of a sort of a cathartic thing to write together?
We don't actually write together, actually.
Okay.
We never really have. We have on B-sides in the past, but mostly we write separately. William's much more prolific than I am, and I kind of struggle to keep up. But that song, I mean, I wrote the title down on a scrap of paper the night after that House of Blues episode.
Wow. Okay.
And I kept it for years. And I actually meant to write a song about it then, and I just never got around to it. And there was a whole bunch of titles that I had for a song that was going to be House of Blues, Cocaine and Disabled. I sing them all in the song, but all I had was a bunch of titles, and so I just like finished it off for this album. You get to the age that we are, and you tend to kind of reflect a lot on like how you got to this stage, and that's what's going on there. You look back at the major episodes in your life, and you think, could we have done that any different? Did it really need to happen like that? And the answer is no, it didn't. But that's just us looking back at the disasters, the highs and lows, as they say.
Sure. Yeah. So talking about the highs, Fuji Rocks, you're playing just before you come to Australia. Are you looking forward to that? You probably would have played Japan before, but have you played that festival before?
Played Japan many times. Never played Fuji Rocks before. So yeah, everybody tells me it's great. It's in a ski resort, which is a bit bizarre, but yeah. I mean, is it actually near Fuji? That's what I wonder, because somebody told me it's at the foot of Mount Fuji, but then I looked it up on the maps and it's nowhere near Mount Fuji, so I couldn't figure it out.
All the promo artwork that I've ever seen for that festival has got Mount Fuji like heavily featured in the background. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to look that up myself now and find out. Obviously, you mentioned it at the start there. 40 years of songwriting and being in bands and stuff. Obviously, the business has changed a lot in that time. With technology and advances and stuff like that. But have you changed as a band in terms of how you work and how you write songs and your process? Has that changed much at all in 40 years?
Weirdly, the process hasn't changed that much. I mean, obviously, we've changed as people. Everybody grows. It's different in that respect. But when you get to the recording studio, it's remarkably similar to what it was in 1984 when we first set foot in a recording studio. It's just the technology's gotten better, so it's quicker now, and there's more because of technology. There is more options. When you got to the studio in 1984, it was like you're against the clock. You've got a couple of days to sort this shit out, and you're not really sure how it all works. Now it's like you've got engineer, you've got computers. You sort of describe what you want. It goes, you mean like this, and magically it just appears there. But the fact of the matter is, it's still a couple of guys. In our case, a couple of guys in the studio. You've got your songs. How the hell are you going to record these? So that's always the same. It's a bit easier and a bit quicker. That's all. But essentially,
sure. And what about your audience, Jim? When you're playing live and you look out into the crowd, how's the demographic of your audience over the years? Have they sort of grown with you, or do you still see a fair amount of youngsters in the crowd?
It's a real cross-section out there. I guess it's to do with the internet. I mean, internet's like, sort of Pandora's box, but a lot of it's good. And one of the good parts is that you look out there and there's kids out there that just simply weren't even near being born when we started out. And it's great, but there's the baldy grey heads as well, you know what I mean, that were there at the beginning. So it's a cross-section of people, I would say.
So the last question I want to ask, and this just come up just this morning, I was listening to a podcast, and as someone who's been in a band for a long time, I wanted to get your take on this particular sort of instance and scenario. So I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the demise of the band as a musical entity, if you like. And the stat that was given was that in the 80s and 90s, at number one in the UK, that bands were around 140, 145 weeks of the year. In the first 4.5 years of this decade, it's three. 3 weeks in 4 years, bands have been at number one.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me, though. It really doesn't surprise me. It's the end of an era, and it's the rock and roll era is dead. And this is the final gasps. It's not dead in as much as there will always be rock and roll bands. Call it what you like, punk, call it anything. But a bunch of misfits with like guitars making a hell of a racket, that will continue, but it's just been shoved underground. Like pretty much like what happened to jazz when rock and roll came along. Jazz continued, but it was no longer mainstream. And that's what's happening now to rock and roll. It's hanging on in there in the mainstream. There's still bands that can fill stadiums. That will start to become less so. And I think that, fast forward 10, 20 years, there'll be no rock bands. There'll be no bands in any. I don't even know there'll be a chart. But if there is, it won't contain any bands at all, I don't think. And you'll go and see bands. If Bruce Springsteen's still alive, he'll probably be playing a tiny little pub above a kebab shop or something like that.
Imagine that. That'd be awesome. I imagine it'll be some sort of AI-generated hologram of Bruce Springsteen that we'll be going to see at the Sphere in Las Vegas or whatever for $500 a ticket or something like that. Just finally on your merch and your store, Jim, at themarychain.com, I noticed your vinyls flown off the shelves. I went to grab a copy of the Live at Barrowlands, and that was all sold out. But there's a lovely blue vinyl pressing of the new album. Are you a big vinyl collector yourself? And how's the sort of resurgence in vinyl worked for you as a band?
Well, I mean, obviously, vinyl for people of my age there's a big sort of emotional connection to it because I grew up. That was how I engaged with music when I was like 5 years old, up till until now. I mean, if I'm being totally honest, I've got a turntable and it's not even set up. I keep meaning to set my amp and my turntable up. Haven't done it for years. Keep meaning to. The kids that kind of get into vinyl now, it's a kind of a bizarre thing though, because they think they're getting the vinyl experience and they go out and buy all of these vinyl albums and they play them on these reissued turntables that have got a speaker on them that's about the size of a transistor radio. And do you know what I mean? It sounds like, if you put on a Sex Pistols album on one of those things, it sounds like a budgie singing a Sex Pistols song, and you think, that's not the vinyl experience. You're not even coming close. If you want to get the vinyl experience, you lay out some money and get a decent amp, some decent speakers, and a decent turntable. Not one of those crappy little things that they on Amazon for 20 quid. You know what I mean?
The one that gets me is the Bluetooth speakers with the turntable. It's like, what is the point? You're just taking that beautiful analog, and compressing it into a digital signal. And
well,
man, so frustrating.
It's become just one of those things. I think kids think it's cool, but they don't know why, and they certainly aren't getting the experience.
Absolutely. And just on your book, Jim, I saw you can pre-order the book that you've written with William on your website. That's coming out in September, I think it was. Never Understood. How was it writing a book with your brother, and how did that work practically? Was it like chapter each, or did you both have a viewpoint on a situation, or how did it work?
We've done many, I'm talking about many interviews with a guy called Ben Thompson.
Right.
The questions aren't in the book. It's just, it reads like us just like telling our story. And it's the true story. I mean, a lot of people, when they tell people like how it all came together, they manicure things. I mean, this is it. Warts and all, I would say. In fact, maybe just warts. That's what I would say. It's us telling it like we remember it. And I suppose the amusing or odd bit is because we're both describing the same situations, but we've got different memories of them. And it goes into everything. It goes into, as I said, the breakup of the band in 1998. It's his version of events, and there's mine. Don't listen to his. Mine's that's how it really went down, chaps. But what I was going to say, it kind of just goes up to about that period. There's a bit about what goes on afterwards. I mean, but it's up to about 1998 mostly.
Sure. Okay, yeah. So again, that's through the website, themarychain.com. If you want to pre-order the book, let's drop into the mixtape track choices, Jim. And the radio show that I present is called The Mixtape. So I like to get guests to come on and make up an imaginary mixtape. And it's just kind of like a fun way of exploring your influences and inspirations. So track one, I always like to kick off the radio show, and any compilations or tapes that I make up as with an attention grabber. So what would you choose for that?
I would choose Whitey on the Moon by Gil Scott-Heron for my attention grabber, just because I think it'll grab your attention. It's that simple. It's more of a poem. It's like set to a drum beat, really, and it's like he was like, you know, the last poets, and Gil Scott-Heron basically invented rap music in the 1960s and early 70s, and it's like rap before rap existed. And it must have scared the bejesus out of Whitey in middle class America at the time.
Yeah, I played Pieces of a Man, I think, on the show a few weeks ago. I absolutely love that track. Big Gil Scott-Heron fan. Fantastic choice, mate. So what I do on the radio show, I just drop the tracks in between the chat. In the podcast, if you're listening on the podcast or the YouTube channel, there will be a link in the description for a Spotify playlist for Jim's mixtape choices. Track two, Jim, and what's a song that you sing loud and proud in the car or the shower, mate?
That would be In the Street by Big Star. I think it was on #1 records. That's just a really upbeat, sort of kind of brilliant, just kind of like you're getting ready to go out. You're looking for something to get you in the mood. This will do it.
Yeah, it's a good Saturday night song. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Great choice. I'm aware of the time, Jim, so I'm going to rattle through quite quickly. And track three is a cover version, mate. What would you pick for that?
Well, I'm not sure if you'll be able to track this down. Hopefully you will. I mean, it's Head Held High by Subway Sect, cover of a Velvet Underground song. And I love the Velvet Underground, but I think this is a better version than the Velvets. It's just so good. It's almost like the Velvets, I think, lose doing a kind of a raunchy vocal thing on it, which to me always ruined the song. And a Subway Sect version is it, as far as I'm concerned. If I want to hear this song, this is what I go to. So if you can track it down, please do.
Yeah, I will have a good look for that. I was expecting some Lou Reed or Velvet Underground from the track on the new album, Lou Reed, but spelt your Reed. There's a big Velvets feel on that track. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That was one of my favourite tracks off the new album. And track four, Jim, is what's a song that you would have liked to have played to your 18-year-old self?
Well, a lot of these are interchangeable category-wise, or as much. What I should say, it'd all be the underrated tracks, and this is like what I'd like to play to my younger self. It's Universal Plan by Earl Brutus. Do you know Earl Brutus?
Yeah.
We had this guy that Nick Sanderson, the singer for Earl Brutus, was our drummer for years and years and years. And I'd love to just play this to myself and just say, hey, you're going to know this guy. This guy's going to be your mate, and you're going to go and see some of this band's shows, and they're going to be some of the most exciting shows that you've ever seen. Earl Brutus were the best band that never happened, but that's not the category. I just love to have played it to my
no, that's fine. That's fine. What sort of stuff were you listening to as a teenager and around that sort of time, Jim?
Well, it was really difficult to choose this because a lot of the things that I would have chose, I kept thinking, wait a minute, I was listening to that anyway when I was 18. I was listening to a lot of the things that I still listen to, the Velvets, the Beatles, the Stones, 13-Floor Elevators, the Sex Pistols, Subway Sect, and even things I was thinking technology-based. DAF, I'll play something by them. I think, I was playing them when I was like 21, you know what I mean? It's like, it was like a couple of later, but it was too close. So I thought, well, what could I choose? And I chose it.
Yeah.
Lovely, Next Sun.
Fantastic choice again. And track 5, Jim, if you were looking to woo someone, if you were making up a mixtape for a romantic interest, what song would you put on for that, mate?
I chose The Autumn Stone by The Small Faces for this one, just because it's such a beautiful song, and I can't imagine that it wouldn't do the job of setting the right mood for
Yeah,
a romantic.
absolutely. Yeah. Someone chose Submission by the Sex Pistols once for that choice, which is a bizarre one.
That's better.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, that was a great choice. I always remember that. Brilliant. Shout out, Shane, if you're listening. Okay, just to round it out, Jim. Future plans for the band. What have you got going on after the Australian tour? I did see some more tour dates later in the year.
We're going to America. We're doing a tour with the Psychedelic Furs in America, and we're coming back. Gosh, we're doing somewhere or other. I can't remember where it fits in. We're doing the Green Man Festival in Wales, and then we're coming back. We're doing a few shows in the UK at the end of the year. A couple of Barrowlands, playing somewhere like Bristol, and I don't remember where else. It's a busy year.
Thanks so much for your time, Jim. I really appreciate you coming on the show, mate. Safe travels down under, and I will see you when you get here. Take care.
Okay, well, thanks very much. Bye.
Thanks, Jim. See you, mate. Thank you so much for listening to the Mixtape podcast. All the links that you will need are in the description below. Link to my Patreon, my guest website and social media, my social media, and the link to the Mixtape tracks playlist as chosen by today's guest. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.